which was a long trip. I decided, hey, if I don't make it, I'll just leave the boat where it is, sell it for whatever I can get, take an airplane home. And I called a friend of mine, a good friend of mine, Carmine, who said he'd come with me. He came in from California, and two of us took off for Florida. They stood here, they waved us off, and we left this, headed out for the fire outlet way down there. And that was the beginning of the trip. We didn't know what was in store. We didn't think we'd make it.
So when we left here, at this particular moment, all we were thinking about was going out into the inlet, into the ocean, which is only 15 minutes away.
And headed for the channel, and here we were in the blue waters. We headed directly for Atlantic City, which was a 45-degree angle from where we were.
So we did a straight run to a place called Barnegat Bay. It was 80 miles. It was basically going to use almost most of our gas. But it was incredibly hard run. You know, I was worried about, can this boat really do this? You know, this is kind of insane.
Again, it was an old boat, it was an old motor, it was an old outdrive. It didn't look like this. It developed a vibration in the outdrive. If we got into Baltimore, Maryland, and we have this big vibration, how are we going to go all the way from here to Florida? I got as far as Virginia, and I told Carmine, you know, we're not going to make it, let's go back. And Carmine said, listen, I didn't come all the way from California to go to Virginia and back to New York. So I came here to go to Florida, and that's where I want to go. He says, now, you changing your mind? I said, no, I'm not changing my mind. So what we did, I looked at Carmine, he looked at me, we shook hands, we bought some more charts with the problem and a broken prop, and we continued on to North Carolina and then further south.
Halfway through the first day, when we got into the Delaware Canal, which again, it was ridiculously rough, I wound up hurting my leg. But we saw our first lighthouse in the middle of Delaware, and all of a sudden we were like, hey, we're in a new place. Like we're somewhere where we haven't been before. This is getting kind of cool. And then we started getting into it.
We had great weather until we got to South Carolina. We were having lunch, and on TV it said there are small craft warnings. But we looked out, and it was a sunny, beautiful day. So I said, we'll continue south, and if we see the weather changing, we'll stop. But, within 10 minutes, the weather changed big time. From a beautiful sunny day, it turned dark, lightning, waves. We had one hell of a time just continuing, going straight, and we saw a marina. But when we got there, we found all of the other much bigger boats in that marina had lost their tops. There was 70-mile-an-hour gale winds that day. It was a freak storm.
You know, the trip kept continuing on and evolving and morphing, and we actually had to go some different routes that they went for different reasons. But for the most part, we tried to do that trip as much as they did. But once in North Carolina, we made a critical decision to go through the ocean and not the intracoastal, and we got caught in a major storm off of Cape Fear, and it was big.
From Beaufort, North Carolina, headed for Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And we have barely enough gas to get there. Crew is hanging on by a thread, getting beat up out here in this nasty chop. We're going for it.
So we were in a storm for about, let's say 4 hours, about 8-foot seas. There was hail, lightning, rain. The boat almost capsized numerous times. We cracked the hull, we cracked the floorboards, we cracked our radar arch, we lost our navigation. And the Coast Guard said, you're on your own. They wouldn't even come out and deal with it. So we thought we were done, and we were basically out of gas. Not basically, we were out of gas. We were going to go around this way because we were afraid of running aground, but I cut a straight line and cut 10 miles off the run, which I thought would allow me, with the gas I had, to get to where I got. That actually saved us. We would have ran out of gas. Like, once we kind of got down off the adrenaline high, and the next day we could kind of breathe, you get a sense of, we did it, we did it. Look at us, we did the impossible, and suddenly now we were like, this thing just won't die, it just won't die. It's just, it's gonna continue fighting. The boat became a representation of us. You know, we're not going to give up, and neither did it. Didn't do it in '97, and we'll do it now. And suddenly your respect level goes up more and more and more when you go to other.
Well, what changed was the fact that I was taking this trip because it was a swan song, my swan song. The boat's going to go. I'm not going to have it no more after this trip. This is it. I'm going to take the boat as far as it'll go. If it doesn't make it to Florida, we'll leave it where it stops. When I got to Florida, I gained a lot more respect for the boat. This little thing with its 25-year-old engine, broken outdrive, took me all the way to Florida. And these people wouldn't even come and pick up a donation. So it became my friend. I found a trucker that would take it back, and I was happy to see it back on Long Island in the Great South Bay.
After the trip, my Uncle Carmine, who did the trip with my father originally, has passed. So, the only one who did that trip originally was my dad. So we went to my dad's house, me, Bill, and Andy, the three guys who did the second trip, and there was my dad. And we sat outside in his backyard, and for probably 2 hours, 3 hours, we recapped the trip. And what became very, very apparent that we weren't thinking was suddenly these four people were like part of a little club that no one else could understand except us. And then suddenly, I was looking at my dad in a very different way than I had in the past. I understood him a little bit more, and I always had a lot of respect for him, but it just went up just a little bit more, and it just felt like part of this little club that no one understands except you four, and it's unique. You just feel like you understand one another a little bit better, and you're also, kind of special in a way.